Dems repeal of justice rule barring presidential indictments. House Democrats are weighing legislation to scrap the executive guideline that bars the Justice Department from indicting a sitting president. The informal rule is decades old, but has come under heavy news scrutiny since Robert Mueller cited it explicitly as the reason he declined to recommend or even consider bringing obstruction charges against President Trump during the course of his 22-month investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 elections. In response to the special counsel's report, Democrats are piecing together a package of legislation focused largely on shielding elections from foreign influence, including proposals to bar candidates from accepting foreign help of any kind, while making it mandatory that campaigns alert the FBI when such offers are extended. But some lawmakers want to press further, eyeing legislation to nullify the DOJ's long-standing determination that presidents cannot be charged with federal crimes while they remain in office. It's Republic. Hakeem Jeffries. It's unclear how or when the proposal might surface. Connolly said, at issue is a Justice Department policy stretching back 46 years, when President Nixon was coming under increasing fire surrounding a Watergate scandal that would eventually lead to his impeachment and resignation. In that 19th, the rationale hinged on bandwidth. The president's unique DOJ revisited the question in 2000, following the impeachment of President Clinton, that they Mueller leaned heavily on that policy last month in outlining his findings during a brief appearance at the DOJ, where he made clear the agency's guidelines precluded his team from recommending charges against Trump related to the obstruction allegations they'd investigated. The Democrats were quick to punch back, arguing that no one, not even the president, is immune to the nation's laws. Speaker Nancy Pelosi D. California hammered the DOJ, quoting, "Quigley said legislation to invalidate the DOJ policy is such a bill has little chance of being considered in the Senate, which is controlled by Trump's Republican allies. But some Democrat, if the issue has made its way to the presidential primary trail, where Sr. Elizabeth Warren's idea is catching on with Democrats in the Capitol, who have grown increasingly frustrated with the administration's stonewalling of their investigations. Not all Democrats, however, are so eager to jump on board. Republic. That's Republic. R.O. Kennedy. There's still, there appear to be no divisions among the Democrats when it comes to the idea that the Constitution provides no license for presidents to flout the law with impunity. One proposal, Trump has challenged enough conventions, many Democrats say, that Congress will be forced to enshrine new laws that were previously thought unnecessary, including the voiding of the OLC guideline even if it's after he's gone. There.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.